we've come tonight to discuss a very, very serious issue. We have discussed Kashmir a number of times within the group, and we know there's a all-party group on both Kashmir and Pakistan and India in this house. But we look at specific issues tonight. It is discussion on human rights. Without further ado, I'm going to ask my colleague Mahmood, who is the member for Birmingham Perry Bar, to say a few words.
I think we're all here to look at this very significant issue. This issue of the Black Day in terms of Kashmir and the people that have suffered since. When you've had almost 90,000 people killed since the illegal occupation of Kashmir by the Indian forces, I think it's important that we put the whole issue in perspective. When there are still, from the day that they took over, there are in the region of about 600,000 to 700,000 troops regularly in Kashmir, and the activities that they carry out. Currently, the operations that they're carrying out in terms of cross-border incursions and firing that has taken place, and number of civilians within that being killed, I think brings the whole issue back to reality. The action taken on the 27th of October in 1947 has had, as I've said, a long list of consequences that we need to look at and see how we can deal with them. And those consequences have continued throughout, and as my friend David Ward, member for Bradford East, in the backbench debate that he got on Kashmir, and we were able to discuss some of these issues regarding what has happened in Kashmir.
There are people out there who say that the issue of Kashmir has nothing to do with the British Parliament. There's people who say that we may have caused the problem, but we can't solve the problem. Let's put those issues to one side and let's just say, regardless of who was to blame for causing this problem, the British Parliament is interested in human rights across the world. We are interested in human rights violations across the world, and wherever there are human rights violations, wherever people are being denied their rights, the British Parliament should speak with one voice on those issues and ensure that the voices of those people are heard. I am a strong believer in self-determination for the Kashmiri people. I have sought through this Parliament since being elected in 2010 to do everything I can to raise issues surrounding Kashmir, working on a cross-party basis with a number of colleagues in the House of Commons and in the House of Lords. I've also worked very closely with a number of our members of the European Parliament, particularly Sajjad Karim, MEP, who is a member of the European Parliament for the northwest of England and was originally born and bred in my constituency. This is an ongoing issue, has been a long ongoing issue, but as the last speaker just said, meetings are great, marches are great, but we need action. We need to make some progress. For too long, people have suffered. The people of Kashmir have suffered, many suffering in silence, many who have raised their voices have been unlawfully imprisoned or worse. So we need to look at how we can move this forward. And working with other parliamentarians, I'm very keen to see what role the British government can play in pushing this issue further up the agenda and finally getting justice for the Kashmiri people. Thank you.
Today,
Microphones are on.
27th of October is being observed as Black Day all over the world by the Kashmiris. They observe this day as a Black Day because this is the very day when Indian occupation forces they landed in Kashmir, and the freedom fighters in Kashmir, they started their struggle and they got 1/3 of Kashmir when then Indian Prime Minister, the founding father of India, Nehru and his government, they went to the United Nations and they submitted a petition and they demanded a ceasefire and they requested that this issue should be settled peacefully. Since then, this struggle is going on. And Kashmiris just demand that those resolutions should be implemented. And they should be given a chance to exercise their right of self-determination. Instead giving them this right of self-determination, India has been trying to crush their will of liberation, and even India has tried to eliminate Kashmiris, since so far 500,000 of Kashmiris. They have offered sacrifices of their lives. Only on 6th of November 1947 in Jammu, 250,000 Kashmiris, they have been butchered. And during this period of 25 years, about 100,000 Kashmiris, men and women, children and lawyers and politicians and doctors, engineers and humanitarian different leaders and scholars, they have been targeting and they have been killed by the Indian forces. And to crush this uprising, they have put different draconian laws on Kashmir, Poda and Pota. More than 700,000 troops, forces and paramilitary forces and different agencies, they are operating there. Our leaders, they have been confined in their houses. I have just talked Sayyid al-Gilani early in the morning. He has been not allowed for 5 years even to perform his religious obligation to go to mosque. He has been recommended for the treatment in hospitals in the UK and America by the highest Indian medical board. But India is not ready to facilitate him for traveling documents. The valley of Kashmir is a spot from where our relatives, our brothers, they can't make a call to his brother living in Muzaffarabad. This is being done, this is happening in the age of communication. So this is the situation of human rights, violation of human rights, and the recently flood devastation has added the miseries of Kashmiris. About 5.5 million Kashmiris, they have been affected. Their property, their infrastructure, their hospitals, their schools, their homes, everything is lost. And our Kashmiris brothers living here, they want to assist them. We in Azad Kashmir, we want to assist our brothers and sisters there. But we are not allowed to go there. No any international aid agency, humanitarian group is allowed to go to Srinagar. No any media, no any observer. So this is the situation.
I think that the petition that was part behind really the recent debate, and it really came along and called for the debate on the basis that it was all party, but also that it was all country. Across the whole of the country, signatures were gathered in, and it became a way. And we said to people, when you're collecting, because most people will sign anything that you put under them to get rid of you, if anything else, we said, don't just get a signature on a petition. Tell them about the issue. Many, many young people in the Kashmiri community now in Bradford think of it, and I have to say this, as an old man's problem. It's an old man's conflict. It's not for our generation. So Palestine is seen as a young people, very, very big issue at the general election, but less so in terms of Kashmir. So we said, don't get them just to sign the form and then to get rid of you. Tell them why they need to sign the form. Tell them about the issue?
I'm here because I feel passionately about human rights. So if I talk about Kashmir, it's not because I'm against India. And if I talk about India, it's not because I'm against Pakistan. But recently I went to a debate where there was an issue where somebody said, well, if you talk about Kashmir, then really you're not for India. And I totally concur with my colleague to my right that really this should be an issue about human rights. And we in the UK believe passionately in having fair, just human rights across the world. And Kashmir is no different. And as a woman, I hear of the many, many absolutely terrible things that are happening to women in Kashmir. And I shudder that our sisters are suffering in such a way. I would not want my mother, my sister, my aunt to live some of the lives that they have lived and have endured. So for me, this is a personal commitment.
Right now we have in Afghanistan, as everyone here in this room is aware, a withdrawal of British troops. And this causes a lot of concern insofar as widely acknowledged, the extremists there might find a new cause and move over to Kashmir. We're really in a serious situation on the world stage at the moment. And I think there is a bit of good news, which is sad and tragic, but optimistic to an extent, insofar as Ebola is concerned. Nations have come together that we would otherwise think impossible to voice their concerns about Ebola.
The Indian government brought their army more in 1990 with special powers granted, protected by the Armed Forces Special Power Act of Indian Parliament, which gives the army complete license to kill. And this is not my words. My friends, you're all educated people, politicians. You can go on Google and find yourself. Those laws such as the Armed Forces Special Power Act and the Public Safety Act, they cannot be challenged in any court of law. And the result, the Indian Army has killed more than 100,000 people. They have captured so many people from their own homes. And the next day you will find their bodies on the lower side. They have taken people away and they have not been seen for months and years. And according to the UN, according to the Amnesty International last report, which was called the Lawless Law, there's a catalogue of thousands of such cases. Rape cases, mass graves, people being pulled out of their houses and their families, children are running around finding where their loved ones are. Are they in those mass graves? Are they being killed and thrown in the river Jhelum? Are they still lying in some dark cell in Indian jails? Nobody knows. This is the situation that we are up in. And according to the report, the very simple looking Public Safety Act, one can be detained for up to 2 years. And again, a reference to the Lawless Law report. It says that act has been used against individuals again and again and again. So if one is caught under that act, it will be kept for 2 years, and before it runs out, they will take him out from one door and bring him back from the second door, and another 2 years. And according to the report, some people are being detained for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and in fact, in Shabir Shah's case, 23 years.
Shame.
That is a democracy. That is the largest democracy on earth. Do we call it a democracy? My friends, we have to ask ourselves.
I think the cause Pakistan and Kashmiri people are fighting for, or Kashmiri people are fighting for, and Pakistan is supporting, is a just cause. And we believe in justice, freedom, peace and tolerance. So we are supporting a just cause. It is not a cause which is not a just or cause which we believe in and we are committed to. I think I want to welcome everybody today to this meeting, and particularly the new High Commissioner, which we will work with to promote our cause with other colleagues from High Commission as well who are sitting here. Obviously, this meeting today is a very representative meeting. If I say everybody, friends of Liari is sitting here, Chairman of World Congress of Overseas Pakistanis is sitting here, and I hope they will be able to speak. Farmer diplomat from Pakistan, both husband and wife are sitting here, and many other who are very representative. And I hope you will become part of Third World Solidarity, because we are not only struggling for one part of the world, but we struggle for all part of the world wherever there is a trouble. And the second meeting, next meeting, which will be public meeting, is on 2nd of December, which will be meeting on what is next for Palestine after resolution. So can I ask the Kashmiri, and I'm very pleased that today three speakers are, Khalid Mahmood, Naat Ahmed and Rashid Tarabi Sahab are from Kashmir, that we have to have a very consistency with our struggle. It cannot happen that we have a meeting, as David Watt said, of Kashmiri. We have to get out. We have to involve more people from Britain, from other part of the world who live here, the Russian Council, Speaking Council, the other people from Ethiopia, from Somalia, where there are troubles, and who understand what is happening and what is the prosecution and what is the right of determination, because we need to involve them. I think this is the right time as well, for many reasons. Number one, you have just heard that America and British is off from Afghanistan. They are not. They are going to stay there and support the Afghani government on many issues. And I think this is very right time for Kashmiris to raise their issue that, look, when you left last time, the killing started in Kashmir, and as everybody has mentioned, over 100,000 people were killed. It started in 1989 when Russia pulled out of Afghanistan. I think this time American and the Western world and NATO and international community will not leave Pakistan alone to deal with its issues, but they will stand with the people of Pakistan to deal with it, which in my opinion, and I wouldn't go into history, is the created by us. We created it because we were involved in Cold War, and where we stand, myself and chairman and many members of Third World Solidarity, I think most of people know, but I don't want to get into it. The second important point is that there is election coming up in Britain. On 7th of May next year there is election. Let's ask all Kashmiris and Pakistani, wherever they are living, 1.3 million Kashmiris and Pakistani, they should get involved in their local constituencies, in their local areas.
My government, my Prime Minister has said it time and again that we are willing to engage to find the permanent, peaceful solution to the dispute through negotiations. And I think that's the way to go forward. We can't be adamant and we can't say that either my way or highway. It has to be a negotiated settlement of the disputes, because who would know better than, your nation? Because a while ago it was mentioned that, the troops are coming back from Afghanistan. My heart goes out to the families of those 453 people who laid their lives. So you would realize there is no solution, which can be implemented by force. It has to be through negotiation. So my government stands committed to negotiate this dispute through peaceful means, and we will always take into consideration the aspirations of the Kashmiri people. We don't want to do anything, we don't want to impose on anybody, but we are definitely a party, because internationally recognized party. Therefore, we are ready to play our role. I hope the other side will also realize the time has come, because it's not, we cannot brush these things under the carpet indefinitely, because I think people want their rights. With this, I would hope that the message will be sent out that it's about time that resolutions should be resolved peacefully, amicably, rather than the use of force, because use of force will not lead us anywhere, rather it will complicate the situation. And I think it has been aptly termed, Kashmir has been aptly termed by former President of the United States, President Clinton, as the flashpoint in the world. So I think we are to nuclear neighbors, nuclear armed states. So we have to be very responsible. We have to act, we have to behave, we have to perform very responsibly. So I think my government is ready to engage on all these issues, provided there's readiness from the other side. With this, I would say, I would conclude to assure our Kashmiri brethren here, through the true representatives of the Kashmiri people, that my government stands committed, as always, to support the Kashmir's rightful cause at all levels, politically, diplomatically and morally, which we have been doing, and inshallah we continue doing that. Once again, Chairman, thank you very much.
I'm very, very clear. Mr. Tarabi gave us a list of things he'd like us to do. I can commit this group to work with other groups in Parliament in both sides of the Commons and the Lords to do what we can to support you. We need information from yourselves, advice from yourselves, the best way to go about this. There's a number of approaches we can take in terms of putting motions down. We can call for debates. I'm a member of the Backbench Business Committee. If my colleagues in the room tonight want to come forward with ideas, I'm sure we can have a debate in there and get this agendaed on the floor of Parliament and have a real, genuine debate. And I want to back up completely what David Ward said. If anybody says it's not our business, I'll tell them that's nonsense. Because the truth is, people like me, David and colleague, we sitting here today, we represent the British state. And the British state has so much responsibility, not just for what's happened in Pakistan, India, Kashmir, but other parts of the Middle and Far East. And whether we like it or not, that's part of the inheritance that we've got as politicians in this House, and we should not renege on that responsibility. And I can guarantee you, whatever we can do, it is an obligation. David, you're absolutely right. And the question about right or left, this is not about right or left, this is about right or wrong. And as the Commissioner said, it's very, very clear. What is more of a human right than people to be able to determine for themselves who governs them? There's absolutely nothing, well, probably the right to life is probably the only thing greater than that. But if you can't determine who governs you, then you're little more than a slave. And we've got to stand up and say that's wrong. And whatever we can do, as we showed, has been mentioned a couple of times with the referendum in Scotland, but we've had numbers of referendums across this country, across Europe, around the world. Why should this particular nation be immune? And there is a role for us as government. There's also a role for us to put the pressure on the United Nations, because the United Nations should have been set on the mark much greater for a much longer period of time. Our real intent in this group is we have people from all around the world come and speak at this place. It's about giving a forum to people to do things. It's not very often we take on board practical workload, not because we don't want to, but because it's really about dialogue between people. But I think this particular work is so important and there's so many groups involved, and I think it is a place where we can have a real impact. So I'm going to speak to Mushtaq. We'll pull together a small group of people who can advise me on, and hopefully the ambassador, the High Commissioner of the people, and work out a programme for going forward, getting this on the public agenda in this House over the next few months, which will hopefully feed into people taking some positive action prior to the general election. So thank you very much for coming.